Hey, what's up you guys? Nick here. For those of you new to my channel, my name is Nick. I'm a professional photographer. I've been shooting professionally for about 5 years, so I've had a camera in my hand for the last 16. And as you probably see in front of me, there are a few cameras. So, we went hunting for fall, my wife and I, over the last week or so, and we decided we'd go up to Steamboat Springs, down here where I am currently at on the Front Range. The fall colors haven't really started to take hold yet, but at higher elevations, it has, so we decided we'd go to Steamboat. And these are the cameras I took with me to Steamboat. And I took some video, I took some photos, and we're gonna talk a little bit about those today, and I'm gonna show you those fall colors that I was able to capture. Now, the four technical cameras that I brought with me is my Nikon D5300 with a 10 to 20 millimeter Sigma super wide angle lens. I'll have links to both of these videos down in the description. I took my Sony A6100 with the 18 to 55 millimeter lens right up here. This little camera right here ended up being one of my little favorites while we were up there, and I'll have a link about my review on this down below. And I brought Nik Del Duca's A7III as our mirrorless test camera. He's letting me borrow to get my toes wet on the full frame mirrorless cameras. He has a Canon R5 that we are going to be doing some work with as well, and I can figure out exactly which mirrorless camera I want to end up buying. And I brought my Google Pixel 4a 5G. And when we get to this sequence in the video, we're going to talk a little bit more about this phone and camera setup right here, because this one ended up being quite handy on some of the days while we were up there. So let's roll the first sequence of video. The first sequence of video and photos are going to be from the Nikon with this ultra wide angle lens. We didn't use it a whole lot because I really wanted to play with the mirrorless cameras a little bit more, but this is my baby and it's kind of my go-to. So let's go ahead and run those video sequences.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. To be in the great outdoors, forever free. You and me, meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
So the D5300 was a tried and true camera. I had a lot of fun with that ultra wide angle, taking a lot of more early morning photos, and some of that video sequence was done with my Google Pixel because I wanted to get some POV shots of it on the tripod. We were using a K&F Concept variable ND filter. It's a 3-stop to 11-stop filter, and it worked fantastically in that early morning light as we were photographing towards the east where the sun was coming up. Now the next sequence of videos and photos is going to come from Nik Del Duca's A7III, the Sony A7III mirrorless. We were not running this giant 85mm on it. Because we were doing landscape, I needed something a little bit wider. So for these photos in the video, we were using the Sony A7III off of the A6100. And so I rocked that lens on this camera, and actually with that lens on the camera, it only comes about that far. It sets this down to a crop sensor camera, so I didn't get super wide. But it was a lot of fun to go out and shoot with a full frame camera, especially this one right here. I'm starting to get kind of used to it and figuring out all the controls and stuff. But the video capabilities of this camera so far, what I've found, are really stunning. And the absolute best part of it is how small and compact it was, which is really what I'm looking for in a mirrorless camera, is to size down from a DSLR. And it may not seem that small with this 85mm f1.4 made by Samyang, but in situations like that, where I'm hiking around, where I'm doing landscape photography, a prime wide-angle lens isn't going to stand out too much further than that 18-55 is going to. Small, light, compact. It's really what I'm looking for. I'm really excited to get my hands on Nik's Canon R5 to really set it up against this, because I hear the colors that come out of that Canon are absolutely stunning. I want to roll the sequence of landscape photography and video. Again, we didn't do a whole lot with this one. A lot of my work ended up being that Sony A6100, and we're going to talk about that on the next little jump back to the studio. Ah yes, the Sony A6100 mirrorless camera. It is a crop sensor camera. We have a whole video on this camera, which I'm going to link right up there because I absolutely do love this camera. It ended up being the one that I used most often while we were in Steamboat, and I used it with this little, I guess it's a 16-50mm lens, not an 18-55 like I thought. I get mixed up with the kit lenses from Nikon and Canon, which are 18-55. This is a 16-50. My apologies for the mistakes earlier in the video. But this camera is super compact, super light, everything I look for in a mirrorless camera. I just want to upgrade to full frame, which is why I'm comparing the Canon and the Sony. And we will probably go to a store and at least hold a Nikon Z camera. I can't find someone who's going to let me borrow theirs to actually do a head-to-head shoot with, so I'm not really going to have the opportunity to do this. But this camera right here was fantastic. It fits in my hoodie pocket, it fits in my internal pocket, it fits in my cargo shorts pocket, which meant that I could really just kind of carry this one without it getting too burdened. It was a vacation with my wife. We were going up to look at all the pretty colors. I didn't want to spend too much time behind the camera because I wanted to spend that time with her. So this ended up being a really good kind of EDC carry camera. And I think that's what its designation is going to be for me. This is still going to be my main video camera for our YouTube videos because it does shoot in 4K. But this is gonna end up being my adventure camera. We're going out and about, we're gonna go exploring, I need a point and shoot to fit in my pocket. And this little 16-50 kit lens that came with it is absolutely fantastically sharp. So let's roll the video and the photos that we got from this camera, you guys. I guess the last one to really talk about is my Google Pixel 4a 5G. This camera, I mean, it's a phone, but I've never had an issue taking a camera phone out, especially when it's raining. This isn't necessarily weather sealed, but I didn't want to risk the Sony A7 because it is not mine. The A6100 is not weather sealed, and neither is the Nikon D5300, but I wanted to go and see Fish Creek Falls, and Fish Creek Falls is absolutely beautiful, but the day we chose to go to Fish Creek Falls, it was raining. So this was my go-to for that. I was able to throw this in my pocket, kind of carry it around, get the pictures that I wanted, and I was relatively happy with them. Am I going to be able to print any of those photos? Most likely not. Not in anything of any size that I would like to. But I was able to get some really good photos, some really cool video sequences, and I'm actually really happy with this because it will take video in 4K. We should do a video where we do an entire portrait shoot with a phone camera, because I think with the advancements of phone cameras in this day and age, it might be important for some of you beginner photographers who you have a phone but you can't quite afford a camera. So we will try out some apps, we will try out some different photography apps, some different editing apps, and we can see how far we can actually push one of these modern cell phone cameras. So let's run that sequence, you guys. So lastly, I just want to thank all of you for coming on the adventure to Steamboat Springs with me, hanging out with me while we kind of talk about the cameras that I chose to take with me and why I chose to bring those cameras with me. Now I want to thank you all for this wonderful journey we've been on so far. We've got some great videos coming up. We have a video on the black mist filter made by K&F Concepts coming up, as well as a review of that Samyang 85mm f1.4. That lens so far has been an absolute joy to use. I'm going to have to go and buy one. I am currently borrowing that one from Nik Del Duca as well. So we have those fantastic videos coming up. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you want to see those new videos that are coming up. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload. I upload once a week, and I will catch you all on the flip side. Bye!